This is Autoline Daily, the show dedicated to enthusiasts of the global automotive industry. President Trump's tariffs on cars and components imported from Mexico and Canada went into effect today, and the impact was immediate. The stock prices of every single automotive-related company in North America fell. Overall, they were down around 3%. And that includes all the automakers, all the suppliers, all the EV charging companies, and all the retailers. The Anderson Economic Group expects prices of new vehicles coming into the U.S. from Canada and Mexico to go up by $4,000 for passenger cars and up to $10,000 for full-size pickups and SUVs. Automakers and dealers will likely pass those costs along to the customers, and that will almost certainly trigger a drop-off in sales because customers with lower credit scores can't qualify for loans and leases, and others are simply priced right out of the market. Here's our Autoline insight. This is why investors headed for the exits as soon as the tariffs became official. But we're probably not going to see the full impact of the tariffs in the U.S. for a few more months. Car dealers have 2.9 million vehicles in inventory right now, and until those are sold off, which will take months, prices will likely hold steady. But some automakers operate on very low inventory, like Toyota with only 22 days and Honda at 39 days. Both of them import hundreds of thousands of cars into the U.S. from Canada and Mexico, and so they'll be the first to feel the pain in about a month. But make no mistake about it, this is going to financially hurt every North American company that has anything to do with the auto industry. On top of sales falling 12% in California and 50% in the EU last month, there's more bad news for Tesla. Now comes word that deliveries also fell 49% in China. Tesla Shanghai shipped about 30,700 cars last month, which are wholesale numbers, including exports. The company reported its first drop in sales for the entire year in China in 2024, and it's still not showing any signs of recovering. Tesla really needs the updated Model Y to be a smash hit and to get training approval for FSD in China, or it's going to keep losing ground to automakers like BYD, which reported its sales shot up 161%. Tesla's chairperson, Robin Denholm, has been selling off big chunks of her stock holdings in the company. She sold $33.7 million worth of stock this month, $43.2 million last month, and has sold over $100 million in the last 3 months, according to filings with the Securities and Exchange Commission. Tesla's stock had a big jump after Trump's successful run for the White House, but it's now down 40% from that peak and is back to the same price it was on Election Day. More automakers are reporting sales for last month, and it's a bit of a mixed bag. As we reported yesterday, the Hyundai Group had a fantastic February in the U.S., with Hyundai, Kia, and Genesis all setting monthly sales records. Mazda posted a 2.5% increase, and Subaru sales were up 4% last month. However, it was a tough month for some of the larger automakers. Ford sales were down nearly 9%, Toyota was down about 5%, and Honda sales slipped almost 3% in February. Remember, some automakers only report sales on a quarterly basis. But sales of the 6 automakers that did report totaled about 654,000 units, which was down 2.7% compared to a year ago. And remember, this is also before those tariffs kicked in. Volvo's sales are kind of a reflection of customer interest right now. The automaker's global sales of fully electric vehicles dropped 15% last month to just over 9,300 units, but sales of plug-in hybrids increased 8% to more than 12,000 vehicles. Overall, Volvo sold 50,662 vehicles in February, up 1% compared to a year ago. Kia also reported its global sales, which totaled 253,850 vehicles last month, up 4.5% from a year ago. Kia says the new K4 sedan and the Ceros SUV helped drive that growth.
Developing today's vehicles issues can happen in an instant. What good is knowing your problems without the data to solve them? Meet Wireless Neovi Cloud, your secure off-the-shelf solution, empowering real-time collaboration for quick resolution. With Wireless Neovi Cloud, your team can prevent issues before they can escalate. Driver communication data and remote diagnostics to analyze and resolve your problems using OTA, allowing your executives oversight throughout the process. Wireless Neovi Cloud, your vehicle update solution in production and on the road. Intrepid Control Systems, driven by your data.
General Motors is trying to build up its software capabilities and has hired Barak Turovsky for a newly created role of Chief AI Officer. Turovsky was most recently Vice President of AI at Cisco, and prior to that, he worked at Google for 10 years. He'll report to Dave Richardson, GM Senior VP of Software and Services Engineering. And in other executive news, Ford's Vice Chairman John Lawler was appointed to join the board of the ACEA, the European Automobile Manufacturers Association, a group that represents car makers in Europe. And that's the same group that has said European automakers faced up to 15 billion euros in fines for missing CO2 targets this year, which look like they're getting relaxed. There's an interesting report from Bloomberg that Chinese automakers are getting a reality check in Southeast Asia. After an initial flurry of EV sales, things have slowed considerably or have even started to drop. EV sales in Indonesia, with a population of 281 million people, are coming in well below sales targets. In Thailand, sales of EVs are actually falling, and in Vietnam, customers are going for locally made VinFast EVs rather than Chinese ones. This could turn around in the future as some Chinese automakers start building cars in Thailand and Indonesia. But it's clearly not going to be the cakewalk that many thought it would be. And all that expansion is also going to cost Chinese automakers a fortune, especially BYD, who also wants to increase sales to 5 to 6 million vehicles this year, up from just under 4.3 million last year, and hire more workers, even though it already had nearly 1 million employees as of last September. So to help fund all its efforts, BYD sold off nearly 130 million shares in the company at a slight discount, which brought in almost $5.6 billion. It was the largest transaction related to the auto industry in the last 10 years, and the biggest of any kind in Hong Kong since 2021. Some of that money is also earmarked for research and development, which includes a new high-voltage platform for its EVs. Reports say BYD's new 1,000-volt architecture will start slowly rolling out in the middle of this month, first with its higher-end models. The company also plans to build a network of ultra-fast chargers, which may help explain that slow rollout. But those stations will allow more customers to take full advantage of the system's capabilities, which can add 300 kilometers or about 185 miles of range in just 5 minutes of charging. EVs with lithium iron phosphate or LFP batteries are almost always cheaper than ones with typical lithium-ion batteries. But VW is charging the same starting price for the all-new LFP-powered ID.3 in China as it is for the version with the nickel manganese cobalt or NMC battery. But the specs of the NMC pack aren't that great, and the new LFP battery from CATL is about the same size, offers almost exactly the same range, and only slightly slower charging. LFP batteries are also generally safer and longer lasting than NMC, so with both starting at roughly $16,500, the LFP version might be more popular. And in one last bit of China news, NIO revealed it made its own aluminum recipe that's meant specifically for high-pressure die casting, like Tesla's Gigacastings. NIO showed how it could use the aluminum for large castings in the ET9 SUV and the Envo L60 sedan. And it said it's also making the recipe available to the rest of the industry, which could bring in a much-needed extra source of revenue for the company. And while it's not related at all, here's something else we found interesting from NIO. It says over 83% of its owners use battery swapping instead of plug charging when driving along the expressway. But that brings us to the end of today's show. Thanks for making Autoline a part of your day.
Autoline Daily is brought to you by Intrepid Control Systems. Over-the-air engineering boost your game. And by Tajin Automotive Technologies, the formula for better mobility.
There's nothing wrong with heavy metal.
Hey, lighten up.
But with world-class composite material, Tajin Automotive Technologies makes vehicles lighter, safer, and more eco-friendly.